So in this video, I'm going to be taking a stock out of the box X-Pro Storm 150 DLX, a little dual sport on a ride. So right here, I'm just riding out to get to these trails. Do about 20 miles of pretty fast trail riding in here, and a total of 50 miles on this ride today. We're going to be testing out the way the brakes feel, suspension, check out the power. Keep in mind, we're still braking in the bike, so I'm definitely not going to be redlining anything like that. But just want to try it out, see how it actually performed on the trails and see if it's going to hold up. So enjoy the video. Oh, and it's definitely bone stock except for the hand guards. So, all right, enjoy. Man, it's a beautiful day out here. Just got on the trails, sun's out. They're wet but not muddy. So far, so good. Suspension feels better than I thought it would. I'm not that heavy though, 160 pounds. Got a backpack with some camera gear, still probably 170 right now. Definitely feel a little bit rusty. Haven't trail ridden for a while now. Since I've had my second son, I've kind of been off the bikes for the most part. Man, it's marbly through here. Tons of little rocks. One thing you do notice with these little wheels is 19 rather than 21. Doesn't roll through the bigger bumps as smoothly as a bigger wheel would, but knew that going into it. Haven't ridden these trails before. There's a bunch of new ones they put in, so they're all kind of new to me. The bike definitely feels very light. The front tire has very little sidewall, so it feels a little harsher for all the rocks. I can see getting a pinch flat on these things because there's not much sidewall on that little 19-inch. Getting pitch flat from hard edge rocks and roots, but hopefully it doesn't happen today. Still trying to take it somewhat easy on the RPMs with breaking in. I think I only got about 49 miles on it so far. With being a little 150, you're going to really have to open it up to get the power out of it on these trails, but still trying to keep the RPMs under 8,000 and under. Lost the front end on it? Yeah. Body feels fine? Well, let's get this thing set up and see how your knee's feeling. Okay. One thing nice about having a super light bike on the trail is you can do these pivot turns sometimes. Feels good to be out trail riding again. It's been a long time since I've had my second son. Just haven't got on the dirt bikes as much. Got the Grom last summer, rode it a bit, but that was mostly road riding and not quite the same as this. So far, I feel like you can really rip this bike. One thing I'll show about the forks though, doing a pivot turn coming down, I heard like a weird sound doing a pivot turn on a trail. And there's a bit of flex in these little forks. That could be an issue long term. All in all, the bike does pretty good. Yeah, oh man, there's a lot of trails up here now. Man, this one looks flowy. But I'm supposed to meet a friend at the top. I'm gonna go this way, I think. Still got used to that up for first, not down for first. And man, that 180 pounds is sure nice on the trail. Damn, you can just whip this thing around. Even a little 150 engine, the bike is so light. Back onto a logging road. Ooh, bottomed that sucker out. Definitely off of that jump. So you definitely can bottom out the suspension. I might have to put a little more preload in it for that. That was the first time I felt it bottom completely out. Of course, I'm riding this trail pretty fast, but tell you what, the engine's gonna be broken in after today. My chain stretched out quite a bit. I'm still waiting on that better chain. I can feel it skip a few times and that's no good. So I'm gonna check the tension and tighten it at the top here. These are junk chains, they're stretching because it's new, but I got an RK coming next week and definitely don't want to skip this chain off of it and crack the case or something. Socked in and cloudy down there. Beautiful and sunny. Look at those mountains. So I had some kid duties this morning, hang out with them, and so I didn't get time to put together a really thorough toolkit, but I threw some stuff in the backpack right before I left to meet up with my friend. Should have everything I need to adjust the chain here. It's like mid-December. I bundled up quite a bit. It gets kind of hot when you're on the trail, when you're basically doing 45 to get here on roads and fog. So definitely after hitting that bigger whoop in the trail and jumping it, the back suspension felt like it bottomed out. So I'm gonna probably put some preload to that, so cut down on that front suspension. I'm sure I've bottomed out, but I've never really felt it. But the front forks feel like they have a little bit of a slop, like I did the pivot turn, came down sideways on the wheel and heard gink. And I just kind of, you know, with the old BMX bikes, you have to put the front wheel through your legs and kind of straighten the handlebars. Kind of felt like I had to do that on this a little bit after that pivot turn came down sideways on it. Kind of a bummer, like it could be a little sturdier up front. That was coming now for a big pivot turn and dropping the bike down at an angle, but tighten this chain here because it is sloppy loose. Woo!
So bad there?
Yeah, see a little bit of a limp. Think you're gonna be all right? Think you pulled something?
Oh, it's gonna take a little bit to get over this one, I think.
Darn. So I'm riding most of these trails in second and third. It'll be interesting how the gearing, if it makes it better when I change the sprockets or worse. I'm gonna lose a little bit of torque. But first, you've almost never used on this bike, on the trails. Right now I'm in third going about 20. Kind of taking it easy on the trail here. And second's really good for tight berms and climbing stuff. But it's got the stock 14, we'll see. You know, as long as you're not hitting any jumps, the suspension feels fine. I gotta add that preload, like I said, because I kind of surprisingly bottomed it out on something I didn't think I would. But all this fast trail riding, my weight, the suspension does completely fine. If you're 200 pounds, you're too heavy for this bike. I'll say that right now. Too heavy, but you should be riding a bigger bike anyway. I mean, I want to take this thing out. I'm ripping it like about the way I'd ride any of my bikes, you know. Enjoying it, taking it, you know, ripping, having fun, but not like just hammering on anything, but definitely I mean, the question is, will this bike hold up riding it like this? I don't know. That's why we're gonna be hammering on me, not beating on it, but not holding back either. Let's see how it is. Trying to stay out of most of the puddles just because I don't want to be super wet. It's gonna start getting cold once the sun starts going down here. And the tires, you know, for being stock tires, at least in this condition, some mud, but not too much, some gravel, they're fine. I thought they would be terrible, but I mean, right out of the box, you know. Oh man, Amazon bike. Right out the box, it's pretty damn capable. Now I'm still trying to break in the engine, not taking it to the red line here. You know, it's a little bike, so you gotta get in the upper RPMs to really lock into that power. But I'm trying not to take it over 8,000 right now. Oh, a little frost on the ground back there. Get a little cold in the shade right here. This is a little bit mucky up here. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm trying to keep my legs from getting super wet here, so might head out of this spot and find some drier trails. Let's go see how this one is. Oh, muck already. Like I said, I'm gonna be cruising these trails pretty good, but if there's big mud puddles, I'm gonna be avoiding them because I'm gonna be freezing going home. So I gotta ride all the way home too. I guess that's the one benefit of loading a bike up in the truck, is you got that truck heater, but what fun is that? Loading a dirt bike into a truck. Brakes, I have no problem, but I've ridden subpar dirt bikes over the years, you know, and I was up there and some dudes rolled up on XR100s, and those are all drum brake bikes. I rode those when I was a kid and had a lot of fun, but I don't know, you can't beat disc brakes even if they're Chinese. These ones are working way better than any Japanese drum brake I've ever had. So, you know, people talk about these things like stock cars not being good on a lot of these bikes. Of course, they're jetted pretty lean to get past the EPA regulations, but all in all, it's really, you can tell when you're going downhill it backfires a little bit. It's a little lean. This thing hasn't really bogged out much on me. It doesn't seem to be a problem. God, it's fun. I love the size and weight of this thing. It's, you know, being a smaller dude, having a big bike, you're usually like trying to ride it, but sometimes it's riding you because it's so damn heavy. This thing is just nimble. The weight is just, I mean, it's 40 pounds lighter than my KTM XCW 200. Of course, my XCW probably makes 3 to 4 times the horsepower of this thing, but most of the time you're riding them, you're not using that full unless you're locked into a gnarly hill climb. You gotta lock into that top end power. But I mean, just ripping around trails like this, I mean, I'm riding all these, like most of this stuff's like just blipping the throttle quarter to half. And I had a KDX 200 which I loved, and then after doing a 100-mile desert race, didn't last much longer after that. It was an old bike. Got a video on that on my channel as well, fixing that thing up years ago. But my 200 KTM XCW 200 I've been riding for quite a few years up here, and I can guarantee you I can keep up with all my friends with a 300 on this thing. There's no problem about that. Definitely no problem. This bike is completely capable to, and we're gonna notice it is wide open areas where they're just gonna have the power to pull away, but you can only go so fast on these trails anyhow. So that's where I think in these tight trails, you gotta get used to that all the way down is neutral, not first.
So these are all open for quads and all that. No side-by-sides, which is nice. But this is all single track, no other use. Looks like a new trail, so there's probably all kinds of stuff to catch your foot pegs and stuff. Yeah, loose sticks, but it'll flow in once it gets ridden more. The clutch pull on this thing is just so light, it's amazing. Haven't had any slipping or anything like that yet. Definitely chunky, marbly rock. Easy to roll your tire on this stuff. Because I'm riding up here by myself today after my friend went back. Not gonna go too crazy. Don't want to get hurt out here by myself. Got some blowdown, but it's all been cut out. Man, there's a lot of branches in these woods here. Not bad for a dual sport, you know. You can ride this thing right from your house. Ride it right to the trails. Go home, pick up some beers and some food if you want in your backpack, and you're good to go. It's price $850 for this bike before shipping. Shipping is another $300. That's insane. I mean, we're gonna put this thing through its paces and see how it holds up. And anybody can take a good machine, say Japanese built machine, and run it to the ground as well. You gotta be smart about your maintenance. Make sure your chain's good quality. Make sure your valves are good and adjusted. I mean, bikes take maintenance. They take a lot more than cars. Oh, here we go. I don't think I remember any of this. Yeah, it just tractors right up that. Nice quarter throttle a second. Stock gearing. Definitely tighter trails up through here. But yeah, maintenance. I've always been working on my own bikes. When I was a kid, if I could find a neighbor that sold a bike for cheap and figure out how to get it running, usually it's just carb cleaning, mix some fresh fuel for it. You could go out and get a bike for a few $100 when I was a kid, but most people just don't know how to take care of simple stuff, lube things up, make sure things are adjusted right. It doesn't take that much. Don't leave them out in the rain. That'll destroy anything. Park them under cover. I don't even pressure wash my stuff very often. I don't even think it's that great for me to wash them off on occasion, but like keeping them in a dry building is helpful. Definitely a slower pace trails up here, the single track. A lot more stuff to wash your front wheel out on, but again, the tires are doing good. I can't really complain. It's insane how light this bike is. It's so easy to throw it around. And I have no problem with this. I can see always trying to keep a bike this light around on hand. Try it out. I want to see how. Been looking at them for a while, and the ones that intrigued me, the pocket bikes on Amazon, were the ones that had headlights and taillights. When I came across this one that had the full dual sport kit, I'm like, dude, I gotta take a gamble on this thing. All right, I'm gonna head out over here, get into some other trails. Oh, it feels so nice to have the sun here. All in all, today, I pushed the bike as hard as I'd push my KDX 200 or my KTM 200, those bikes.
It's a sledgehammer.
Suspension, back shock, I bottomed out twice today. Dang. Hitting some kind of step downs and step up jumps. They're just little, like big whoops, you know.
You got like 3 feet of air that time.
No, nothing crazy. This thing wouldn't be good for any major jumping, but yeah, I got it for just an enduro bike ride to town, get some groceries and stuff, ride some gravel roads, hit some trails, smooth trails like this. I think it's actually going to be pretty nimble in like super technical trails. We'll get into some stuff for hopping over logs. That stuff I did for many years. You're going up through gnarly clear cuts and stuff, and it was fun and all, but that 200 I had was so tall that I think I can deal with the lacking suspension. I probably bottomed out the front forks today. Let's see. The dust wipers came down to here. I don't know if it has any more travel than that. I never felt like the front forks bottom out. I never had a hard kind of hit like the back. This stuff, I lost my reflector. This stuff flaps around. This is going to be an issue. I want to cut this off before I went on the ride today. I didn't get time. And I'm going to move all this up, probably do a little aluminum plate for the license plate hanger. that tab must have hit the wheel jumping some point because it's pretty loose. These things down here, these little bars, these aren't really subframe. It's basically from here back. It's like a little fender mount to support this extra weight on here. I'm gonna probably TIG weld up some aluminum support under here that comes into the bike, just to make it more beefy for this kind of stuff, because this is all kind of loose, and if it doesn't get bent and broken here, it's probably gonna stress crack from bouncing around. I'm gonna tuck these wires up higher and get them wrapped up so I don't get any more mud on them. All in all, I have to say, for riding as hard as I am up here today, it's held up well. I don't know if it's going to hold up for years to come riding it like this, but no problems with the clutch, no problems with the shifting at all. Engines make great little power for these trails. I mean, you don't need a powerhouse for these technical tight trails. I mean, a little more power would be good, a fifth gear would be good, but I'm going to re-gear it a little bit and see if we can come up with a good compromise between good trail gearing still, like I almost never use first. I just don't want to make second or third too tall where I'm always lugging it. I'm also breaking in the engine, trying to keep it under 8,000. It really starts to pull more around 7. Once the engine's a little more broken into, I'll be able to rev it out to that 9, 10,000 range. If you need a little more hill climbing power or just a little more grunt, all in all, I'm surprised with it. I can say that it's a lighter bike. It's a light bike, and there's some things we're going to probably find out from riding it hard like this on the trails, what holds up and what doesn't. Preload, the back spring, it's got none set in it right now, so you can adjust it way down. So I'm gonna get some spanners for that. I think you can get a rear adjustable shocks for this. I might get some, but the dampening is not bad. It's fine. Front forks and the back forks, I thought they would be like pogo sticks. They get good dampening. The bike feels like it fits my weight pretty well, other than a little more preload on that back spring, and that's something I'm gonna do tonight. And we'll do an update future video when I come back out here if that preload helped it. Like I said, after riding this, I haven't ridden many trails in about 2 years. I think if I got out here with my friends with the 300s, I think I can rip this bike just as good as any 300 in any tight trail like this, and possibly the super tight clear cuts while hopping over logs. I might even be able to do better because the actual weight of the bike is so much lighter. Oh, here we go. Look at this. And no way am I ever really pinning it on any of this. I mean, it's not a powerhouse, it's a 150, but man, I'm going like 20, 25 on these trails. That's fast enough to get pretty hurt. Man, I feel like you just rip this thing though. Brakes are not a problem at all. Brakes are completely fine. The little pops off of rocks like that, no big thing either. It's the bigger jumps that preload needs to be set up. Yeah. Probably should take it a little more easy on the engine. I'm still breaking it in, but hey, it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna do a check the valves here, probably tonight or tomorrow. Probably change the first oil change at 100 miles and make sure there's no like old sand castings, anything in there, or aluminum shavings from when they machine stuff. Man, that's tight through here. Man, that is awesome. Like I said, I haven't ridden this trail, so I'm trying to judge what's around the corner here. Bike hasn't really faltered at all, even with all the jarring around on here. I thought this little carburetor would be an issue, but and I'm putting it through its paces, and it is handling it just fine. And I've been riding since I was 8. I've had Jeez, I probably had 30 plus bikes over the years. Rode over 60,000 miles on the roads on street bikes and mostly dual sports. Had scooters, mopeds, but I've always liked the dual sports the most because you can functional, you know. I was pretty broke in the past, and that was kind of my main transportation for a while. And could run into town with a backpack, get groceries, hit some trails like this, and even if you're broke, you're gas sipping, not using much fuel. You know, a lot of those bikes get 80 miles plus per gallon, and having fun doing it, you know. Had some really miserable days too in the rain when I had a ride. Got better rain gear back then, and man, these trails are amazing. I was already sold on the bike in the last video. I was like, wow, this is pretty good, but getting out on these trails, I am freaking sold. Like, shit, man. I would probably buy another one, dude. I don't know why. They're just so damn cheap to have, like $1,150. It's amazing. Oh yeah, this is that one I was wondering how to get into. Okay, I probably rode 15 miles or so. I got like probably a half an hour of sun before it goes through behind that mountain there. Maybe 20 minutes or less now. Actually going down the hill here, I'm gonna lose the sun, but that's all right. I feel bad for my buddy hurting his knee. I used walking, could have put all his pressure on it. I think take some Advil, put some ice on it tonight, and take it easy on it for a few days. I hope that's all it's gonna take. Man, there's more trails I gotta ride. I got a headlight if it gets dark. I got a higher output bulb. I'm gonna check the wattage on the site. It said 22 watts, which I calculated. I can't remember the amperage of it now. It's not gonna load up too much. I got a better battery put in here. Anti-gravity. It's like a $110 battery, but I mean, I put that into expensive bikes. Why can't I put that into a very affordable bike? You know, if you guys like the videos and this kind of stuff, check out my channel. I don't have it all specific on motorbikes. Got some mini trucks and a bunch of fabrication videos as well. Just kind of different hobbies I'm interested in. It works well for me. I always put in the effort into stuff I'm excited about, but I found with YouTube and a lot of subscribers, they want to see one specific thing. They subscribe for mini trucks, that's what they want to see. They subscribe for mini bikes, that's all they want to see. You know, it's fine. I like variety. If I did the same thing every day, I'd be bored. I gotta change it up. So I've always been riding bikes. I just haven't put much bike content on my channel. Oh, got somebody else to ride with here. Met a guy up here, older fella, and he was interested in the bike. He's got a KTM 300, and I've ridden a lot of my buddies' KTM 300s. They're great, but he had to slide the forks down a lot, the triple clamps, to fit them better. And he was talking about trying to get a bike that's a little bit lighter. I was like, hey, I don't think this is quite right, the bike for you, but take it for a spin.
See how the starter wants to keep going?
Weird thing, as soon as I let him take it for a test ride, he comes back and I hear the bike sounds weird, and he's like, the starter's stuck on. So he's riding it with the starter button stuck in. I just had to tap it a few times, it popped out, so I'm sure that didn't help the starter at all, but his electric start's still working. I'll have to see if it got some grit in there. I don't ever like riding people too close, don't want to make them feel pressure. So the seat would be a complaint. I mean, most bikes like this, the seats are never that comfortable on. This one's pretty hard. It's not that bad for riding like this because, you know, most of the time, like right now I'm sitting down going up to this stuff going slower, but most of the time I'm standing anyhow. Like all this stuff, you don't sit for these whoops. So the seats are going to be an issue if you spend a lot of time on it in roads and towns. But, you know, I'd rather have a seat like this. You can move all around from the tank to the back fender than have some saddle that you're stuck into like some of the more tame dual sports. This isn't for riding out of state. Kind of used for stuff like this. Boy, that's been a good day. I've been debating about selling my XCW 200 because as nice as the bike has been, it's fun. It's heavy, it's tall. I mean, 220 pounds isn't bad. I don't really know if I even need to ride the XCW anymore. I'm not saying this is going to replace my XCW. I've been already on the fence about getting rid of it. I kind of always going through 2-stroke, and then the next bike usually go back to 4-stroke. Been leaning towards getting a 4-stroke again. My nephew's got an XR250. Had those bikes in the past, dug them. They've been a great bike, but they're getting older now, and decided to buy that Templar 250, just the regular model. Is the lowest rather than the X. The X is taller, too tall for me. It's only 238 pounds, and so I'm gonna try that thing out and see how it is on the trails too. So between this one and that Templar, if the Templar works out to be any bit as good as this, but just bigger, I definitely am gonna be putting the XCW 200 on the sale, you know, just the chopping block. But it's a good bike. I just gotta get rid of it because after riding something this light and nimble, it doesn't feel like you're gonna get hurt as easy. I mean, you get hurt on anything, but I also feel like the way this bike is, how light it is, it's not working me super hard. I mean, I'd probably figure out how many miles I did. Probably done 15 plus miles of these trails up here today. Well, that's not including getting here. That was just straight up the trail. So I had a great day out riding. I did about 50-mile ride from my place on roads up there. Did about 20 miles of definitely some fast-paced trail riding. Bike performed really well. There's 2 little hiccups. Since I got the bike, I probably started at 60 plus times the electric start. I never had a problem. Came across a dude on the trail with a 300 KTM. He came back, I noticed the bike sounded weird. And it turned out he's like, the starter switch is stuck in. I don't know if he had some grit on or he got some grit in the starter switch, a little plastic piece. So I flipped it out and tapped it with my thumb a few times and it came disengaged, but he was riding the bike for like 3 to 4 minutes with the starter engaged. Definitely not good. So I came home, blew it out with the compressor, put a little bit of tri-flow on it. It works good now. It pushes in, comes right back out. And then when I got home, it was kind of wet on the trails. I noticed my brake light wasn't working, my running light was. Keep in mind, I bottomed it out and ripped the reflector off of this, so it's shaking around a lot. I pulled the seat off to start looking over wiring connections, and then I got my voltmeter out, and I realized one of the little wires that go back to your brake light for the positive for the LED came unsoldered off the circuit board. So I resoldered it through the little hole here. I recommend everybody does this with any of these little cheap bike tail lights. Caulk the tail light where it meets the plastic backing. Squirt caulking, like clear caulking in around the wires to like keep it from bouncing around as much. And caulk the back of it because water gets sprayed in there and I had water on my lens. So I dried it out, resoldered that. It should be good. Before I fix it, I sent the email off to X-Pro, waiting to hear back. They'll send me a new brake light. In the meantime, I repaired it. I recommend sealing all these things up pretty well. So all in all, I got brake light fixed. I'm going to go over all my connections, do a little dielectric grease in the back of each one of them. I want the waterproof connections on this thing. I don't want to have any issues. So that's all said and done. Till the next video, take care. Bye.